Inversions. All they do is flip you upside down on a coaster. How many different ways are there to do this? 3? 4? 5? By my count, the answer is 56. That doesn't seem possible, but it's true. At least, according to the roller coaster database. Most people would just call them loop-de-loops, along with some very famous enthusiasts. But we're coaster nerds, and we break everything down way too far. Of those 56 inversions, I found 15 that can only be found on one coaster. That's right. These coasters own exclusive rights to their very own inversion at the moment. And today, I want to run those down. These are the world's one-of-a-kind inversions. Number 15, the Tongue. Found on Star Wars Hyperspace Mountain Rebel Mission at Disneyland Paris. So this is a weird name for an element, and with this coaster being entirely indoors, it's hard to tell what this thing even is. Based on some research, it's a steep overbank turn that goes out the same way it comes in. So basically, a cutback, like you'll find on RMC Raptors, or Twisted Timbers, or Adrenaline Peak. Maybe just slightly less upside down. Based on this one picture floating around the internet, that's what we are dealing with here. Number 14, the Dog Tongue. Found on Max Force at Six Flags Great America. Is this anything like the Tongue? Not at all. It's actually two inversions. This SNS air launch coaster kicks off its short layout with this element, which is very similar to a banana roll, though this one goes into a half loop, levels out, and then does this dive loop style element that crosses over the way it came. Does it really look like a dog tongue? Well, it doesn't not look like a dog tongue, so I'll take their word for it. It's a funky element, and look at that support structure. Just weird all around. But like so many other videos on my channel, Max Force isn't done yet. Number 13, the Max Dive Loop on Max Force at Six Flags Great America. For a 20-second ride and 1,800 feet of track, this ride has 5 inversions, and 4 of them can only be found right here on this coaster. The one non-unique inversion it has is the Heartline Roll, and that holds the record for the world's fastest inversion. So the Max Dive Loop is a 2-inversion element that ends the ride. It rises up into a roll, but instead of leveling out, it leaves you at a 90-degree angle, and then flips you back to what looks like a dive loop, and that brings you back into the station. Joe Draves designed this thing, and he's authored other rides like Gale Force, Lightning Run, and Steel Curtain, so he seems to have a flair for the absurd. And speaking of Steel Curtain, number 12, the Dragonfire Dive Loop on, no, not Dragonfire, Steel Curtain at Kennywood. This was clearly inspired by Dragonfire's first drop, which is also considered a one-of-a-kind inversion of its own, called a wraparound corkscrew, which is basically a corkscrew that finishes into a drop. Steel Curtain dips down off its lift and then pops into a corkscrew, and then it twists around to be like a dive loop all the way to the ground. Even though the elements are totally different, it's nice that Steel Curtain gave Dragonfire a shout out for the inspiration. Number 11, the Bowtie on Dragon Mountain at Marineland. If you're familiar with the Batwing, this is very similar. You'll find these on some inverted coasters like Montu and Afterburn, and some aero loopers like Vortex and Viper, and it's a good way to turn the train back around. The only difference with the Bowtie is that instead of coming out the opposite direction it came in, it continues in the same direction. Dragon Mountain is one of the strangest coasters in the world, set in the hills, and having more than a mile of track over its 4 inversions, 2 of them coming from the Bowtie. It emerges from one of its tunnels, and right into the first half of the inversion, a dive loop, and then goes into an Immelman. But instead of coming out to the right like a Batwing, it comes out to the left, which makes it a one-of-a-kind inversion. Number 10, the Stinger Curve on Stingray, at the Giant Wheel Park of Suzhou in China. The Stingray was Vecoma's attempt to revive their Flying Dutchman model, this one being on a very compact plot of land, and barely having more than 1,000 feet of track. Riders would start on their backs, and be lifted up a vertical lift in a standing position. When the course was finished, the train had to take a headfirst dive back into the station. This seems like it'd be an awesome element, but the whole thing is heavily braked, since the station is right there at the bottom. But still, there you have it, the one and only Stinger Curve. This Stingray model never caught on, and this one was shut down with its park in 2018. Number 9, the Top Gun stall on Twisted Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain. One of RMC's favorite elements on their topper track and their iBox coasters are zero-G stalls, offering amazing hang time. And that's what this is. But the reason it's called the Top Gun stall is that there should be a train underneath at the same time, assuming there's a perfect duel, which is pretty rare on Twisted Colossus. The name comes from the movie Top Gun, taken from the scene where one plane is flying upside down over the other. And it's true, they do look similar. This is one element I doubt will ever be replicated again. But you never know when RMC will get the chance to do another dual-track coaster. American Eagle, Lightning Racer, I'm looking your way. Number 8, the double inverting stall on Untamed at Wallaby Holland. As the name suggests, this is a double inversion, basically jumping into a barrel roll, but instead of twisting all the way around, it leaves the train at a 90-degree angle, and then flips upside down again as it rolls back to the ground. This is very similar to the max dive loop, but instead of flipping the train around in the opposite direction, it keeps going in the same direction. RMC loves their weird inversions, and they managed to invent a new one with Untamed. Number 7. The negative G stall loop on hang time at Knott's Berry Farm. You might mistake this for a Sidewinder, and in the end, it kind of is. You'll find these on Anaconda and Ninja at Six Flags St. Louis. The negative G stall loop on hang time is a much larger version of this, and as the name suggests, you feel the pull of those negative Gs as you stall at the top, giving hang time a little hang time. Whatever you want to call this thing, it's the best inversion on the ride. So if Knott's wants to feel special by calling it a one-of-a-kind inversion, I'm good with that. Number 6. The Demonic Knot on Flug der Dämonen at Hyde Park. This one is funky looking, especially on a wing coaster. It's basically an incline dive loop, followed by an incline Immelman, making up 2 inversions. You could even call these 2 0G rolls, separated by turns. It looks like a pretzel from the side, but if you dropped it and then stepped on it a few times. This is also the only B&M coaster on the list, which makes sense. B&M thrives on their consistency and doing what they know, so throwing in a warped and twisted element like this is unusual for them. Number 5. The Cobra Loop on Stormrunner at Hershey Park. What was Intamin smoking when they designed this? I have no idea. Usually, their accelerator coasters went into a top hat and then found their way back into the station. But this one is full of funky inversions, the first one being this Cobra Loop. Is it me, or does this basically look like the negative G stall loop or the Sidewinder? It pops into a half loop, but at the very top, it has a very abrupt change in direction, and then it kind of angles its way back to the ground awkwardly. So this thing may be weird, but it's similar to some of the other elements we've seen. Moving on. Or not really, staying right where we are. Number 4. The Flying Snake Dive on Stormrunner at Hershey Park. After that weirdly angled Cobra Loop pullout, the train goes into the famous Flying Snake Dive, which is a pretty awesome element in my opinion. You crest the hill and then go into a heartline roll, directly into what looks like kind of a dive loop, but it's more of a violent twist back to the ground. Whatever it is, it's 2 awesome and whippy inversions back to back, without a second to breathe. And then look how this ride ends. Even the ending is weird. Stormrunner, what a strange ride. And before Candemonium, it was the best ride in the park, so good on Hershey Park and Intamin for being weird. Number 3. The rollout on Volcano the Blast Coaster at King's Dominion. I bet there will never be another inversion quite like this, especially since it only exists because it was the coolest way to launch the train out of the volcano. It's basically a launch into an upward vertical track, flipping the train upside down out of the mountain and rolling off to the side. That feeling of being vertical and being twisted upside down is similar to a top hat, but because this kind of rolls off to the side, a rollout is a pretty good name for this inversion. Number 2. The Lagoon Roll on Cannibal at Lagoon. Here's one of my all-time favorite inversions. It's basically a twist to the left, and before you level out, you twist to the right. Since you never really complete that first inversion, and you're left at a 90-degree angle, this is considered 1 element instead of 2, but it counts as 2 inversions. What makes this element so great is the mid-course brake run right beforehand, slowing the train down so much that you're hanging with nothing but a lap bar keeping you from falling to the ground. It's a great hang time moment, and you get to experience it twice, that second one being right over a pool of water right above your head. There's nothing conventional about Cannibal, and it deserves its very own inversion. Number 1. The Scorpion Tail on Cobra at Connieland. This is one of those clickbait coasters that'll probably end up in the thumbnail of this video. Cobra is in Switzerland, home of the legendary manufacturer B&M, but this is a PAX coaster, a company based in Russia. Go figure, there isn't a single B&M in Switzerland. This starts off weird, with the catch car bringing the train up a beyond vertical lift, and then it goes through 2 camelbacks, a vertical loop, and then this Scorpion Tail, flipping the train upside down over the loop. There's a little boost to bring the train to the end of the Scorpion Tail, to make sure it has enough speed to get through the course backward. This now has trains with rows that face each other, so you can ride this forward and backward. This is the only adult coaster in the park, but now I kinda wanna go here to experience this. That's it for the one-of-a-kind inversions in the world, based on how RCDB defines them. Some of these are slight alterations of other inversions, but hey, there's only so many legit ways to flip someone upside down. So with the number of unique inversions standing at 56, you're gonna get some head scratchers. These weren't really ranked in any particular order, so don't flame the way I ranked them up. But let me know which one of these looks the best to you, or which one you're the most excited to experience. Sound off your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, and subscribe if you're new here and love coasters. And if you want to join my Discord server and talk with other fans of the channel, or check out my second channel, where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, those links are down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.